If you've been waiting for the My Essential Birth Black Friday deals, everything you need to have a birth you love is here. Right now, you can grab the My Essential Birth course and get our exclusive birth affirmation cards download, belly mapping guide, and bonus meditation track, only available through this offer. And you can bundle and save by adding the postpartum course, plus get 2 more bonuses, our postpartum affirmation audio track and belly binding tutorial for you and your birth partner. This is literally the best offer of the year, and it's only available through November 30th. So head to myessentialbirth.com/Black Friday and get started on a birth you love today.
What happens in the social media, what I've noticed, is it's either the mother is the villain or she's perfect.
Yes.
And both of those are wrong, because a mother has her hard days or hard moments and her wonderful moments. And she has time when it's okay and time when it's very difficult. And she has time when she feels lonely, and she has time when she feels fulfilled, and she has time when she feels resentful, and she has time when she feels contented, and she has time when she feels full, and she has time when she feels empty. And this is the truth. And this is not what is put on social media. So what does social media do? If you watch it, it lets the mother feel that she's not enough. And that's what I don't like.
Getting pregnant and giving birth are 2 of the most exciting things you can ever hope to experience in this life. The moment you think you could be pregnant, you're frantically searching for all the best information, which is why you're here today. I'm Stephanie King, and with my many years of experience as a professional childbirth educator, doula, and lover of all things pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, I'm here to make preparing for your birth enjoyable, empowering, and totally easy. Each week, I'll cover different topics, interview professionals, and get into the nitty-gritty birth stories from mamas just like you. And when you're ready for more, you can join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I take you step by step through exactly how to prepare your mind, body, spirit, and partner for a birth you love. So let's get started. This week's reviewer of the week is XOXO Annie C, and she says, must listen. You'll leave every episode of Stephanie's podcast with a wealth of knowledge. I started listening early in my first pregnancy and quickly became obsessed. Thanks to this podcast and the accompanying birth course, I had an incredible unmedicated hospital birth. My nurses and even my OB were so impressed with how smoothly everything went that they asked about my birth course minutes after delivery. Now pregnant with my second, I'm already dreaming of how to make this birth even better. I'm thrilled to dive back into this podcast and can't thank you enough, Stephanie. Thank you, Annie, for leaving such an incredible testimony for everybody to listen to, a review for everybody. And you guys, today is going to be just another one of those incredible episodes. I found Dr. Margo Lowy online, just kind of cruising through Instagram, and I loved everything about her Instagram and what she talks about. And so I have her here with me today. We're going to dive into a topic that I don't think is covered enough, and maybe something that I just think more of you moms are really going to resonate with, and that is kind of the real emotions that come with motherhood, because there is all different kinds of emotions that come with motherhood, and they're all very valid. And so today, my guest is Dr. Margo Lowy. She is a psychotherapist, a researcher, and an author. She spent years studying the complex emotions that come with becoming a mother, the love, the guilt, and the quiet questioning that can happen in between. And she has written a book. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. With that, Dr. Margo, will you say hello to everybody? Tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about the book too before we get started. And then I'm sure I'll have questions about that as we keep going.
Hi, thank you for that lovely introduction. When you were talking, I was thinking about how as mothers, when we're pregnant, we have kind of dreams of having our child. And that when you said the dreams, I was thinking, yeah, there's dreams and there's also a few nightmares. And really, that's what my work is about. It's about maternal ambivalence. Here is my book, The Loving Moments and Bitter Truths of Motherhood. And really, mothering begins with pregnancy. And that's why I'm so happy to contribute and to have this conversation, because there's not enough emphasis put on how pregnancy impacts not only impacts mothering, but if we think about it, it actually is a really good introduction to mothering. What we go through in pregnancy is like a mirror or an echo or an introduction. So we might talk about that today, if that's where our conversation takes us. But really what my work is about is encouraging mums to really value all the feelings that they have in mothering, because there's a lot of ideals and myths connected with mothering. And what my work does is disrupt these myths and really encouraging us as mothers to lean in and engage with all our feelings and not to neglect the difficult ones. Because in those difficult feelings, whether they're sadness, loneliness, resentment, or any of the bitterness in my book, they tell us something about ourselves and something about our children. And similarly, in pregnancy, it's often not so straightforward. And we really, in pregnancy, maybe we have time to think about these things. Pregnancy is not only, it's actually quite fascinating, because in pregnancy, the emphasis is on us as mothers. When the baby is born, it moves. And in a sense, when I think about pregnancy and movement towards mothering, it's really important for us to hold on to being a person throughout that.
Yeah, I love that. And I can completely agree with that. Being a mother myself, that it's not on purpose, but you can kind of lose yourself in becoming a mother and all the new responsibilities that you have. And it can be kind of jarring. Like, it's fine for a while because you're like, this is new and this is what I'm working with. And then all of a sudden you're like, like, where do I fit in all of this?
Right. Yeah. And am I seen as a pregnant woman? Pregnant women are seen. And there's also, it's really fascinating because myths start and ideals start during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of noise around pregnancy. A lot of people around us when we're pregnant throw things at us.
Yes.
Throw statements at us. And we might get offended, or we might take them in, or we may not. And in a way, it's a really good practice for after we have our children, how we take those statements and what we do with them. And once we have the baby, do we get lost in being someone's mother? Where do we find ourselves? And so maybe I think pregnancy does offer a time to really think about this if we can. If we can use that time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm resonating with everything that you're saying. Something that you talk about, and it's, even in the book title, but this maternal ambivalence. Will you kind of describe that, what that means for everybody that's listening today?
Okay, good. What I'll do is I'll give some examples. That's probably the best way of doing it. And I'm going to start with maternal ambivalence in pregnancy, because there's this unbelievable film. I use film a lot in my work, and I use television series. I really believe that creative medium is so fantastic to be able to identify where we are and to understand ourselves. There's a film, it's a French film called A Happy Event. It's about the first year of mothering, and it does include quite a bit on the pregnancy. And this young woman, Barbara, she's French, becomes pregnant, and she thinks it's going to be the most wonderful, smooth, fantastic experience. And what happens is, to her, she gets pregnant. She's vomiting the whole time. And then she goes to the doctor for her checkups. And the doctor, of course, tells her, your enemy is cheese. I think she says maybe sushi, raw meat, and everyone around you. And your mother-in-law and your mother and everything. And then she says, and you're due, I think it was March something. And that's when her thesis is due. So it's like her world is her expectations of what she thought her pregnancy would be is disrupted. And this is mothering. So in fact, she gets this introduction to what it is and how I see mothering is a messy, interrupted, and loving experience. So she's introduced to the mess, but we're not told that usually in pregnancy, and we're certainly not told that about mothering. So what I'm saying is there's a very big difference in both pregnancy and mothering between your dreams, which we talked about before, and the reality. And if one is attuned to it, one can use this in pregnancy to understand what mothering is about, that it's not a smooth path. I mean, most people know that, but do they understand what that really means? Pregnancy gives us a lot of hints about mothering, and do we take them? So that's introduction to maternal ambivalence in pregnancy, because you have all those wonderful feelings and thoughts, but you're brought back to reality straight away. And those difficult parts, those, whether you're throwing up, whether you feel sick all the time, whether you feel that you feel like it's a different body, that introduces you to your mothering. And in the film, there's also a lot of dreams. She has dreams where she's drowning and she's trapped. And in a sense, that's what mothering is. It's both. It's being trapped, and it's also loving being trapped. It's both. And my work is very much about the and. There's loving and there's difficulty. There's loneliness and there's a lot of stuff to do. It's the and. So when we I'm moving now from the pregnancy to the actual mothering experience, what we actually call the fourth trimester, that early part of mothering. And in that stage, while there's many times that mums feel totally overwhelmed and totally in love with their baby, and they feel tired and they feel energized. There's a story that I've got in my book. There's a new mum. The baby's about 5 months old, and the mum is woken up every hour on the hour by a screaming baby. And we all know what it's like to be totally sleep deprived. It's terrible. So the mother's woken up at 11 by the baby. She's woken up by 1 at 1 o'clock, at 3 o'clock. The only thing that can calm the baby is as soon as she picks the baby up, the baby's fine. So at 5 o'clock, she said, I can't do this anymore. Like that feeling of sleep deprivation. She puts the baby down. The baby's screaming, but she's just got to try and get to sleep. She's feeling guilt. She's feeling, why did I do this? She's feeling, I can't go on. It's just too much. Then she kind of dozes off. And then at 7 o'clock, she wakes up with a start. He's whimpering. The baby's whimpering. She goes in, cheeks are red, picks him up, just instinctively. He goes like that. The first tooth's coming in. So she's got this total feeling of love and gratitude, that, and that joy of that milestone of that first tooth coming in. And then she's kind of struck by, how could I have felt that resentment, that frustration? But the love overwhelms it. But she learns something from those other feelings. She learns about herself, and she learns that that's part of it. She can feel resentment and she can feel love. She can feel so exhausted, but then she feels like this thing that I'm okay. I'll get up and I'll be okay today. I'll get through today. And mothering, and I'm an our grandmother, and I mothered I mothered hands-on a long time ago. And when I see young mothers, it's like, how do we just keep going. You get up and you keep going. And I think part of this is that ambivalence. It's being able to realize that we have all the feelings and we're still able to get up and go on and keep going on. And I think it's something miraculous about mothers.
Yeah, I agree with you. As we're talking about this, it's interesting the conversation that we have in the birth space because, we want to keep things very positive and we want moms to be able to look forward to pregnancy. And when you're talking about having conversations with other moms, and isn't it just the truth that when we get together, we can't help but spill our worst stories? Like we want somebody, and I believe I've said this for a long time, that it's something in us that maybe hasn't been validated. Somebody hasn't validated that story. You haven't been able to share this safely and like
Yes,
get it out.
yes.
But the time to do that is not with a new pregnant mom about all the terrible things that are coming.
No, it's not.
However, there should be, and it's very important to have a conversation that it's not all flowers and roses, that it's not all the beautiful parts of it, that you will have the tough things. And
Yes.
I wonder, maybe you have an answer for this. How can moms tell when it's normal versus the conversation of we talk about postpartum mood disorders, depression, anxieties, and all of that kind of stuff. Like, where's the normal part? How can we know that like this is part of motherhood and you're going to be okay. You're going to make it through, but it's just part of what you're going to go through to grow. Hey mama, can I just say, if you're feeling nervous about birth or unsure of what to expect, or you're worried about pain or interventions, you're not alone. That's exactly why I put together the Black Friday bundle for My Essential Birth. You get the full birth course plus all the bonuses, affirmation cards, belly mapping guides, labor meditations, everything you need to help you feel calm, confident, and ready for your baby. Plus, if you grab the postpartum course too, you'll get 2 extra bonuses to support you and your partner after birth. It's literally everything you need to have a birth and postpartum you love. This offer is the best that we'll have all year, and it's only through November 30th. So grab it now at myessentialbirth.com/Black Friday, all one word, and I'll see you inside.
Okay, well, I don't have an actual answer. That would be great. But I think what you've suggested is a really important, a couple of things. I think that we don't, young mums and pregnant mums or new mums, we don't find those safe spaces easily enough. And that is so important. And I talk a lot in my work about how we have to surround ourselves with people that give us energy, that validate us, that are on our team in a sense. And I think when we're pregnant, like our antenna is really very heightened, as it is in early mothering. And I think that it is difficult and it is a challenge, but if we have someone around us that does not give us energy, that depletes us and doesn't make us feel good about ourselves, and we all know what that feels like, we actually have to have the strength to remove ourselves from them and make sure that we've got a team, a group around us that are on our side, where we are safe to talk about the wonderful parts of mothering, and also safe to talk about the difficult parts. It's so important. And I think when we talk about postpartum depression, that of course that's a chemical disorder that needs to be attended to, and it is different to the normal ravages, if we want to call it that, of having a new child, a baby at home, and trying to deal with that. But in saying that, all new mothers have ups and downs, and in order to manage that, we need to know that these ups and downs are normal, that tomorrow, maybe the next day, we will feel okay. And new mothers, we have hormonal issues, and they will go. And I think also, when I think back to my own mothering, early mothering, it was like the next stage, when you reach the next stage, whether it's fantastic when the baby sleeps through, but even at every new stage, you feel like an achievement. And I think that's really important, to pat ourselves on the back and to recognize that achievement. And that's part of surrounding ourselves with people that will pat us on the back as well. So it's very much part of having a community that one feels safe with, that one can talk in a safe way to, and that what that does is it lessens the loneliness, because loneliness is a huge part of pregnancy and of new mothering, because no matter who you've got around you, it's actually it's you. You are carrying the baby. You're feeling the ups and downs, the pains, the anguish, the twitches, the fear, the hospital visits, the what happens if I come early, the I can't work anymore, or I can't, there's that sense of you can't make plans. And that continues. And it's really wonderful if one can have people around that understand and that understand the loneliness, because really being up at night with a newborn is both lonely and it can be wonderful. So it's both. And that's what I really emphasize in my work. It's both of them. And when we're in a space that we feel really lousy, it's important, if we can, to know it's going to pass. And, and to try and, in a sense, surrender to it. I talk a lot about flow, and it's so hard to flow in pregnancy and in mothering, because we're faced all the time with a rigidity. Rigidity meaning rules about how you should be, because I don't like the word should. And there's no rules, and we have to challenge this. And it's really important for a pregnant mother and a new mother to know that this is her unique experience.
Yeah, it's really, as you're talking about this, it's so, I think because social media is such a big thing, we use it all the time right now. And it is hard, even though we tell ourselves, this isn't the ideal. And when you see these things online over and over and over again, you start to question if what you're doing is right or okay or a benefit. And yeah, I think if we, like, even in my mind, I'm like, if I were to do it all over again right now, and I had my kids before I had social media and things, but if I could do it again right now, I would turn off all the social media. I would walk away from everything external that I could, and just be with my family and my baby and trust that mother's intuition.
I love that. I talk a lot about the maternal ideal, which is like the social judgment of how mothers are meant to be. It's like you're meant to be 24/7 on. You're meant to be always compassionate, always caring, always having time to manage everyone else. And I think that that's been like our current social media, a current maternal ideal is in the social media.
Yeah.
And it just frustrates me so much when I look at social media and I see the mother going to school, dropping the child to school with 3 children. She's dressed up to the nines, and she's taking these wonderfully behaved children to school. And I'm thinking of what the reality is. The reality is you've prepared breakfast. It's mayhem. You get into the car. One of the kids has forgotten the sports uniform. You're all over the place. Then one of the kids drops the milk all over the homework. This is reality. And when you get to school to drop them, it's like, and it's really important to challenge it. But we all I also didn't have social media when I became a mother. We actually didn't even have cell phones in those days. And to have the strength to turn it off would be wonderful. And I think what you're saying is that we need to, in effect, go back to the old days when we're doing it ourselves. I remember when my first child is 45 now. So in those days, we didn't have cell phones. And what we used to do, we had a very small group of mothers. We would meet once a week in someone's home and talk about our babies and feeding and what this one's doing. And it was so organic and it was so wholesome. I'm not saying it was easy, but it was like we were in a safe space and there wasn't that continual pressure on us to keep up with all that nonsense and that bull that's put on the social media. And what happens in the social media, what I've noticed, is it's either the mother is a villain or she's perfect.
Yes.
And both of those are wrong, because a mother has her hard days or hard moments and her wonderful moments. And she has time when it's okay and time when it's very difficult. And she has time when she feels lonely, and she has time when she feels fulfilled, and she has time when she feels resentful, and she has time when she feels contented, and she has time when she feels full, and she has time when she feels empty. And this is the truth. And this is not what is put on social media. So what does social media do? It makes the mother, if you watch it, it lets the mother feel that she's not enough. And that's what I don't like. I think it's hard to turn off social media completely, but I think if we can maybe 10 minutes a day, it moves from the central part. I think often it also goes back to that loneliness, and we think that we can connect with it. And maybe we can, but I think the danger is that it becomes our real life, and it's not. And I think one other interesting point, when we talk about plans, and I think a lot about that notion of birth plans and how they go AWOL often, and how really a thought of a birth plan of doing this and doing that is like, it's okay, but it actually needs to go with a birth plan might work. And what do we do when it doesn't work? And the importance of flowing with what happens during the birth. We can have ideas or even ideals about what's going to happen. Most of the time it doesn't. And what that teaches us is, in mothers, there's so much stuff that's not anticipated, that we don't know. And we're going into this unknown. And how do we embrace that? Because that's what pregnancy prepares us for. And that's what mothering is. It's unknown. But somehow, as mothers, we manage to get into that unknown, and when it is unknown, it's scary. But somehow we manage to go with it. And when I look at my own experience, and I've been a mother for 45 years, and I've had my first pregnancy nearly 46 years ago, and it is actually awesome in the real sense of the word, not the colloquial sense, but it fills me with awe, the way we do it as mothers. Mm-hmm. Like the way, and the other issue is we don't pat ourselves on the back enough. We don't tell ourselves how amazing it is. And also what mothering is it's a series of mistakes that we make all the time. Every day we're making mistakes. And one of my mantras, I don't like the word mantras, but I haven't found a better way of saying it. One of my mantras is, mothering is making mistakes and repairing them, and making them and repairing them. And that's the only way we learn. It's like, we make them, and then one day we make the same mistake and we think, maybe next time I'll learn from that and I won't make that exact one. But it's like my work gives mums permission to make mistakes, not only permission, it's necessary. It's necessary. And one of the reasons I wrote this book is I really wish I would have had a book like this. I wish I would have had a book that told me mothering is messy and interrupted and loving. Mothering is making mistakes and repairing them. And that's how we learn. Mothering is like we make it up as we go along.
Mhm.
And we do. That's fantastic. And in mothering, 99% of mothers do the best that we can.
Yeah, I think because of the overarching amount of love that comes with mothering, it allows us the opportunity to make mistakes with our children
Yes,
and to repair, like you were talking about.
yes,
It's because of that love that is so
yes.
strong that comes in no other way. There's no way to understand the love of a mother until you are a
No,
mother.
no, I'm getting shivers over my body when you say that, because that's really what it is. And it's something that no one really prepares you for.
Mm-hmm.
And each mothering experience is different. And the first one is mind-boggling, and your identity is changed once you have your first child forever. And it's like overwhelming. And it's like, but we need to be surrounded by people that tell us, yeah, it's overwhelming. Yeah, there's moments when it's just, I don't know where I am. Why did I do this?
Right.
And there's moments that you can't imagine not having this child in your world. And then there's moments that are just unbelievable. And there's moments that are just so difficult. And this is what my work is getting at, like capturing all those moments and giving permission for all those moments and saying, this is normal. This is what it's about. It's not a fairy tale. In one sense it is, but it really isn't. And we need to disrupt those fairy tales. And really, if we look at the fairy tales, the Grimm's fairy tales, they actually teach us a lot about what it really is.
Yeah.
If we think about Hansel and Gretel, yeah, they lost the stepmother, I think it was the stepmother. She was trying to lose the children. And sometimes it's often experience of losing and finding. And, if we think about whether it's breastfeeding or whether it's giving a newborn or a baby, an infant, a bottle, there's that struggle with finding the breast and finding the teat on the bottle. And when the infant's there, it's often not a straight connection. It's often not. And often it's like you have to squeeze some milk and put it into the infant's mouth, and then you've got that connection, and you're losing it. And then when you find it, when the baby finds the breast or the baby finds the bottle, the mother is like, found each other. It's losing and finding. And that's all mothering is about. There's so much about that. And really, we need to know that's what it is. And it's okay. And mothers, how much instinct and how much, even though sometimes we don't think we have it. And how much power is there in a mother in that losing? And we keep going on till we find.
I love this conversation. I love this so much. Tell me a little bit about what's inside of your book, and because I'm thinking of moms that are listening now, and this sounds like something we want them reading, preferably when they are pregnant, before they step into that motherhood role. Although at any time, it feels like this is the right time to be interested and listening. So tell me a little bit about what you have in there and what moms are going to get when they walk through it.
Okay. I talk a lot about maternal ambivalence because I think that these experiences aren't named. And that's why I use maternal ambivalence, because if these moments are named by the word, then we can understand them. And I also talk a lot about the notion of ambivalence being misunderstood. When people don't understand ambivalence, often people think it's mixed feelings or they think it's indifference. Because there's some confusion over this, because indifference is a cutting off, and it's the total opposite of what ambivalence is. Ambivalence is connecting with all your feelings. And what I'm trying to do is there's ambivalence in every relationship, with our partners, with our workmates, with our friends. it's a feeling of, there's parts of it, that relationships that are uncomfortable, that we don't like, that we're maybe resentful about, that we're fearful about, but we still really enjoy them. But in mothering, it's really, before my book, it's not, well, people think it's not really okay to talk about those feelings towards your child or towards your mothering. And I'm disrupting that. And I'm encouraging mothers to lean into these feelings and to say, mothering is designed for us to have these feelings, these difficult feelings, and to understand what they're there for. And that's a way of understanding ourselves and our children. So I talk a lot about that in my book. I give a lot of examples about the expectations we have as mothers and how often we have these expectations about ourselves and about our child, and how we're kind of, in a sense, we're blown away when we realize our expectations about our children at all stages, whether it's newborn. I mean, I talked a little bit about that. And then, because in a sense, for that new mother, there was an expectation that the child or the infant would sleep through or would be okay. And so I'm disrupting that. And then there's the expectation of expectations, and we struggle all the time as a mother in separating from our children. I talk a lot about that. And I talk about the fact that the first time, I believe, our child separates from us is that time when the child actually falls asleep. And it's like the child falls asleep, and it's like such a new experience, because in a sense, I think that we think the child is an extension of us. And when the child falls asleep, I remember myself, it was a bit shocking. Like, this child is his own person.
Yes.
And then there's that time when we take our child to preschool, and those feelings of giving over that child and how we feel about it. And there's that pride and our wanting of our child to have some, to go to school, preschool, and everything that goes with that. But in a sense, we're lost. In a sense, we're pining for our child. And it's both of those feelings. And then and then you go further on, and when you have a teenage daughter who is going out at night on to a party, and we're dropping her there, and then we're giving her the lecture: don't drink, don't do this, go make sure you're with someone all the time. And then you get the call that we all get: Mum, come and get me. I can't find my friends. I don't know where I am. And you know that she's had a drink, and you're so furious with her for putting herself into danger. But when you see her, you're so, you're okay. And you're filled again with those feelings of ambivalence, and they're powerful. You're so angry at her, but you're so, once again, overwhelmed with love that she's okay. And you've got to let her go, and you know she's going to make mistakes, and you've got to hold yourself, and it's the unknown. And then it's the time when your children leave home, and it's all these times I talk about and how you feel about that. Of course, you're overjoyed, but there's something that you miss so much about having that child in their bedroom at night. And you think what it's like you get woken up all night when you've got an infant. And when you've got a teenager, you're up all night and you don't know where they are. And it's all these things about mothering that we learn about it. And one of the things about my book is it gives us an insight into all those stages. And someone called my book on a podcast, it's like a warm companion. And I think that's what it is. And there's a really good index in the book. So even if often new mothers don't have time to read all of the book, but they can go into parts of it. And I really, as I said, I'm passionate about the creative means, whether it's film or sculpture or art. And there's also a lot of series. And I I dive into Little Fires Everywhere. There's a chapter on that. I don't know if you've seen it, but Reese Witherspoon's portrayal of a mother is just the most marvelous portrayal because she thinks she's perfect. She sets up her life as a perfect middle class. She's got a husband that works and provides for her, and she's a journalist, and she's got 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and you can see how her life unravels because she has all these expectations about herself and she's not real. And in the end, she realizes that she was responsible for the little fires everywhere that she's created. So that's what my book does. And I do lots of examples that people can relate to. But what I really love about my work is I'm learning all the time, and to have opportunities to speak to people like you, it really, that's what fills me up. And then I'm able to share them with the world through writing and through podcasts and through speaking. And I think we all of us have a responsibility as mothers to talk about our experience in the most truthful way and to give other mothers, young mums or older mothers, a bit of a preview of what it's like.
Yeah. No, I am like trying not to get emotional as you're talking and walking me through literally all the spots of my motherhood journey that I've had. I have teenagers right now. And so when you got to that part, I was like, hold it together. Because it is, every stage of mothering is new and challenging and wonderful and beautiful. It's all the things that you're talking about. And it is hard because we don't have necessarily the communities that we used to. I know for myself, I lean a lot on my mother-in-law. She has been just such a stalwart, wonderful, strong woman in my life. And I'm going to get emotional, but I'm like, what do you do if you don't have that? And we have to create these spaces for each other so that we can walk through this together because it's not meant to be done alone.
No,
And
it's not.
when you're talking about all of, the woman that you explained with the perfect life and in the meantime, because she was trying to be this perfect person, she's setting off all these fires. And I'm like, that is me. Like I can relate, So I just know that other moms are going to be very blessed by reading through this and relating and having some clarity and feeling normal for the experiences that they're having. I think it's really
Yeah,
important.
it's tough. It's tough. It's both the toughest experience and the most wonderful. And that's what mothering is. And for me, I decided to write the book also because I've got grandchildren. It's wonderful. They're fantastic. And when you're out of the stage of doing hands-on mothering, well, for me, it gave me a lot of time to reflect on my own mothering, and it gave me time to make the decision to write about this. And I did write a PhD on maternal ambivalence, and I used a lot of research. I'm a psychotherapist as well. And then I wrote an academic book. And after that book, it was a great book, but I really wanted a book that mums could pick up and really, it's like a companion. And when you were talking about your mother-in-law, that's also so wonderful because I was very blessed also with a wonderful mother-in-law. And I think that a mother-in-law, we have to get rid of all the old stories about mother-in-laws because that can be with mothers as well. And we're not all terrorists or terrible people. We can, I think for me, I've got 2 daughter-in-laws that have children, and I watch them, and they are such fantastic mothers. And part of that, I think, is they give themselves permission, to give themselves some space.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Okay, so I want the moms listening today, I love for them to have something that they can take with them. And I know this conversation has been excellent. I'm thinking though, do you have a couple of things that you can say to moms, especially as they are having these babies and moving into that immediate postpartum stage that can help them
Yes.
in those first couple months even?
Right. Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll go back to my mantras because that's the best way because it encapsulates it. But before I do that, I'll say it's really difficult, but if you can flow with your mothering, if you can take each moment as it comes and not judge yourself, because judging yourself makes you rigid. So not to judge yourself, just to try and go with it, and to know that mothering is messy and interrupted and loving, and that to know that you're doing the best job that you can, given your circumstance, and that we all make it up as we go along. And that goes back to the flow, because really, when we look back, and you've got teenage children, I've got older children, it really was a experience of making it up. We make it up. We make mistakes. We make it up, and we just keep going. And that really returns to what I say about mothers. I mean, we get up and we continue despite all that. And we need to congratulate ourselves, and we need to do that. And really, when we're feeling really it's difficult, really give ourselves a pat on the back for what we actually have got to up to this point.
Are there, when you're thinking of things that moms can do daily, and it's kind of this reminder of this mantra or this flow that you're talking about, is this something that you would say to yourself daily? Do you find that journaling helps? Do you have anything that kind of moves mom in the right direction?
For me, it's journaling. I don't know if that's for everyone.
Sure.
I think really giving yourself some time to yourself to do, I mean, there's always loads of housework. Yes. Especially when you've got a you've got a newborn and you've got children. And what I would say also is, you know what? You actually don't have to clean up the mess 5 times a day. Like, if someone's watching you, like, you've got to get rid of that inner camera that's judging what you do. Don't worry. It is messy. Do it once a day. And instead of doing it 5 times, one of those times, give something to yourself. Whether it's a cup of tea, whether it's if you've got a newborn, you may not be able to go out and go for a walk, or something that's nice for you. It's so important, because in fact, the mother is running the show, and everything depends on you. And I'm not saying that to put more pressure, but just to say that you need actually to be kind and compassionate to yourself. That's really what's important, to be kind and compassionate to yourself, and to surround yourself with people that are kind and compassionate to themselves and to you.
I think you just gave so many important nuggets right there. I mean, even when I go to journal, you talk about this internal camera. Does anybody else do that, right? You're like starting to journal and you're like, as if somebody else is going to read it. So I can't even be honest in my journal, you know?
Yeah. And that's the ideal.
Yeah.
And that's what the internet does. And we've got to soften that. I use that word a lot in my therapy. It's like you have to soften it. And that's what flow is, compassion with ourselves, and we're not good at that.
No.
And that's really, I suppose, my main message is to just be soft and flow. And if you're a little bit late for something, you know what? Nothing. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like, I remember as the mother, I have to be here. I've got to be there at 10 o'clock. I've got to be on time at school. The bath has to be over in 5 minutes. They've got to be in bed by. No, it's okay. And if they don't have a bath one night, so what? It's like, okay. And if the baby doesn't have, okay, it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think that we're so programmed that everything has to be like this. No, it doesn't.
I feel like I'm so glad that we have this on a podcast that is recorded, that moms can pop it in. Cause I feel like if I, as a young mom, even now, I will re-listen to this. If I could pop this in once a week and remind myself that it's okay to just feel what I'm feeling and going through what I'm going through, and that the bath happened late, and that that it's okay. And there's no stress about that. Life would be just a little bit better. So
And I suppose that's what I want to do with that book, because I didn't know that. I didn't listen. Maybe I didn't listen enough to myself. But it's that sense of doesn't matter. Like nothing turns on this.
yeah.
And I just think that, and there's something so wholesome about that. And we're getting lost in a sense. And so when I was talking about lost and found, that's part of mothering. And finding ourselves and finding our child is about this self-compassion and compassion for our child, because it goes together.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It was great.
If you loved what you heard today, the very best way to support this podcast and help other moms to find it is to leave a quick review. I read one at the beginning of the episodes, and I would love for yours to be next. And if you're ready for even more pregnancy, birth, and postpartum goodness, come join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I will hold your hand and walk you through pregnancy and birth step by step, so you're totally prepared for a birth you'll love. See you next week.